From Carolla One Studios in Glendale, California, this is the Adam Carolla Show. Adam's guest today, director Brian Fogel. With Gina Grad on news, Bald Bryan on sound effects, Mark Geragos drops by, and we'll talk to Dave Dameshek. And now, a man with more images in his spank bank than his parents have money in the actual bank. Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get it on. No choice but to get on mandate. You get it on. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks for telling a friend. We love that about you, right, Gina Grad?
That's right.
Handball, Brian.
Hey, I like football. There we go.
The great Dave Dameshek is going to join us a little bit later. We'll talk about what's going on with the NFL and the playoffs and the weekend and all that kind of good stuff. Mark Geragos is going to catch us up because I think California is reopening to some partial degree. It's an interesting.
Well, the Restaurant Association put the heat on him, turned the screws to him.
And Mark was all behind those lawsuits. Yeah. It was several weeks ago that he was basically told in court, and the judge said, look, you have no reason to close down outdoor dining. And the health people in Los Angeles said, yeah, I know. But
anyway,
we're going to shut it down anyway, and we're going to get a third law firm that the taxpayers can pay for to fight this thing that we have no evidence for, which is, again, scary part of government is when they go, yeah, we know, but we're doing it anyway. And there's really nothing you can do. And we have an unlimited budget for all the stuff we do. I always think about the mayor of Oakland or the vice mayor of Oakland who was like, yeah, I know those hoops that were put up in the trees at the park were put up by a black man who wanted to get his exercise. But we're just going to contact the feds and call it a hate crime and move forward with the investigation anyway.
With the investigation.
It's cleaner that way.
The investigation. The guy who did it told you he was using it for exercise.
Right. So maybe they should.
The investigation's
maybe they should interview him first. But it is a very scary thing where they go, yeah, we have unlimited time, unlimited budget, unlimited resources, and we don't really care if we're right or wrong. We're just moving it. We're just going to move forward anyway. At a certain,
sorry to interrupt you. No,
well,
I was sadly refreshing that it came from both sides at the same time, between Newsom, having no evidence to support the restaurant lockdown and being told so in court, and then Trump with all of his filings against the election. It's like, you've got no evidence. We can't. It's refreshing that it comes from both sides, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know if either one of them admitted anything, though.
No, they would never. Of course not.
They would never.
They got spanked in court and told they had no evidence.
Yeah, I think Newsom is worried about his recall, I think
you're right.
Well, and the thing about that is that talk about extending between the aisle. Democrats hate him. They feel terrible for having elected him. Republicans hate him. And even John and Ken on KFI the other day said, get another Democrat in there. We don't care. Anybody but this guy.
Just
anybody competent will do.
Well, a plastic owl or an empty banjo case would work nicely as well, in terms of, at least the empty banjo case doesn't give bad policy. They just give no policy.
Right.
And I was also kind of thinking about it spiritually, which is, and it's happened to me, and I don't know if you guys are wired this way or not, but eating at a restaurant is much healthier than the alternative. And I'll tell you why. Because the alternative is not, I'm going to go pick a bunch of garden greens from my vegetable garden and cook it up with some skinless chicken breasts. The alternative is we're going to go to Grubhub and get Taco Bell brought to our house.
Yeah.
And
what is open?
That's the high and low.
There is a difference between eating takeout food at home and doing it at a restaurant. I realize that when I go out, two of the guys I most frequently go out to dinner with are Kevin Hench and Dr. Drew. And they're both militant about the whole keto thing. So when you go out to dinner with Dr. Drew or Kevin Hench, you order a steak and you order some asparagus and maybe some cream spinach, and then you eyeball the garlic mashed potatoes, but you don't go there.
Right.
You don't go there.
But you fantasize about what could be.
Right, but you're not going to do it because you're being judged and you're sitting across the table with these guys. When you're eating at home, it's bacon burgers and bathrobes. That'd be a good country song. But, I mean, it's like, I'm not getting out of this fucking bathrobe. I'm just going to have the Baconator brought to the house. And if I have to decide between the fries and the onion rings, I'm going fries and onion rings.
Yeah, get both. Every meal becomes your dirty little secret.
Right. So you can sit at home and get fat in your own kiddie pool of shame. But when you go out, you tend to, people judge. So you tend to
great point.
Order slightly differently. Yes.
Does this sound bougie, or are we all on the same page at this point of no restaurants / takeout? As awesome, as great as takeout is and can be, there are plenty of items, most items I would say, that by the time it gets to your house, you know what I mean? Like the quality has degraded. Like you might get the best steak from the best place, but by the time it's made the journey to your home and you put it on a plate and you're sitting down, it's like, this is a 45-minute-old steak.
Also, when you think about it, it's some of it is the deterioration of the actual food itself, how it kind of drops down. Also, so there's a bunch of aspects. One is fast food is fast food. Go to the drive-through, call Grubhub, bring over the burgers. They don't degrade.
As Jimmy Kimmel has proven.
Right. But, yeah, with his bacon, with his Canadian bacon egg McMuffin that's been on a corkboard for a year. Yes. But there's also this, it's not only just the food and sort of what happens. You buy a $60 steak and you got to rewarm it when you get to your house, and who the hell wants to zap a $60 steak?
You're cooking it more, and then it's less juicy.
But there's a lot of this, too. I don't know if you guys experience this, where you go, I'll have the shrimp cocktail, which I love. My power move is they always give you an odd number of shrimp. I tell them to add a shrimp so we can each have 3 if I'm out with 2 instead of the 5. But you get the shrimp cocktail, and it's like each shrimp comes wrapped in cellophane, and then there's a plastic container for the sauce that's over here. And then there's a little horseradish over there that's in another miniature little, and then you'd start mixing in your kitchen and that whole thing. You go to Morton's, you get this shrimp cocktail. Oh. They put the dried ice on there.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's like Vincent Price sent over a shrimp cocktail. What ghoulish offering have we within this bowl? Only the witches and the warlocks know. I hold a flashlight under my head, and I look across at my table mate, and I go,
the last man.
Yes, let the last man who reaches for the last shrimp. Only the brave and the bold at heart shall participate. Yes, there's literally the dried ice with the steam pouring off it and the whole 9 yards. Yes.
And to your point, the other night I treated myself because, I'm not a big takeout person because I love my cooking, but I really wanted Indian food. I love Indian food. And there was some like yogurt dip thing that I wanted, whatever it was. And the guy, it's not his fault. The Grubhub driver, whoever, pulled up, and my bag, the plastic bag, was leaking. I was like, what in the hell? And I dropped it over to the sink. Well, the poor people at the restaurant don't know how to keep, don't have a choice how to keep that dip cold. So they did an extra bag filled with just ice, ice cubes, and put the container in there. And, they're trying their best, but I got just a wet bag of food.
Geragos is on line 1, the great Mark Geragos. Mark?
How are you?
I'm well,
Mark. Gina, I heard? Was that Gina I heard frolicking with you?
Yes.
Yes, verbally frolicking.
Verbally frolicking. That's I want to frolic back in a restaurant with Adam. That's what I want to do.
My God.
And Gina, we would love you.
I'd love it.
Hey, so Mark, catch us up. The governor, as of today, is talking about lifting the outdoor ban. How much of that has to do with you and your lawsuit?
Well, we filed the lawsuit against the state, as I've told you or talked with you before. We prevailed against the county. Then the county order expired, and what was left was the state order. We filed against the state. We expanded the lawsuit on last Thursday to include personal services like beauty salons, hair salons, things like that. And we indicated we were going to go in for a restraining order, and lo and behold, this morning, they lifted it. So as of this minute, there is no order prohibiting outdoor dining or and allowing personal services, beauty, and barbers to be back in business. That could always go back today or tomorrow if the county of L.A. decides that they're going to quadruple down on their stupidity, which caused all of this, us to become the epicenter in the first place. But I'm hopeful that they've learned their lesson and will just slink away and go silently into the night.
Well, one of the most progressive mayors in the country, Chicago, Lori Lightfoot, she recently said she thinks closing the restaurants down actually added to this as everyone went home and had people come to their home and continued eating and celebrating, but this time within their home without the safety of all the measures. And Andrew Cuomo's changed his tune as well. So we're kind of the last of the Mohicans.
You'll also see that both UCSF epidemiologist and an infectious disease expert was quoted over the weekend as well. We had all kinds of declarations as well that everybody has said now that it is apparent. And by the way, newsflash, this is exactly what we ordered, and this is exactly what Judge Chalfant said back in November, and then again in a written 53-page order on December 8th, which is there is no data to support this. And in fact, this is probably the reason that LA has become the epicenter and California is the worst in the nation.
So what do you realistically think when can we here in Los Angeles go outside and eat? By the way, it was 37 degrees outside. Like it's the coldest. Now that it's as cold as it can possibly be in L.A., everyone can move out to the sidewalk.
Enjoy.
Yeah. Enjoy.
Well, people are already doing it. They've already opened up. Because as of right now, contrary to what everybody says, the only thing that was holding back in the county of L.A. was the state order. The county order had expired. Then they revamped it so that the county order this year is no more expansive than the state order. So the only thing that would get in the way is if the Board of Supervisors today or tomorrow issues an edict shutting it back down again. Otherwise, they're ready to go. In fact, I've told clients that there is no order that prevents you from serving outside as of right now. We'll wait and see. The people who are behind this in the county of L.A., who really should be held accountable, were Mark Ridley Thomas, who's no longer on the Board of Supervisors, the Hilda Solis, who I don't know what she was thinking, and the worst of the worst was Sheila Kuehl. Sheila Kuehl, besides being hypocritical, really should be held accountable because there is an argument to be made that their order forcing down and closing down outdoor dining is what drove people indoors and what has caused this surge upon surge in Los Angeles to make us the worst in the world.
And not only that, but the stuff that's kind of hard to measure, the sort of general fog that everyone's living in. I don't know if you guys are like me, but you talk about someone's birthday's coming up in 2 weeks. What do you want to do? It's like, I don't know. What will they let us do? I don't know.
Not another drive-by parade. I can't take another one.
We just brought up last night. I was like, I wonder if our friends are going to have a Super Bowl party. Probably not.
Right.
They do every year, but not this year.
Well, I'm going to go in the backyard and forage for grubs. You guys stand in the front yard. I'll wrap cellophane around you, and we can see if we can listen to the game on AM radio. Sound good?
We'll crank it up.
I know. I throw a Super Bowl party every year, and I don't know if there is going to be one or who's showing up or what the plan is, but I'm at least glad that the outdoor dining is open, and for Christ's sake, the salons, the hair cutting places and that kind of stuff, those places should have never been closed. But what's next is schools to me. I mean, every day I leave my house, my kids are just flopped out in their bed staring at well, they're not really looking at the computer. They're playing video games on their phone. But, I mean, we're coming up on a year of every school-age kid in Los Angeles are literally rotting in their bedroom.
The school muscles may have atrophied. I'm not joking. Like, can they go back to school?
I agree with Brian. I'm telling you, this is going to be hard to bounce back from. It has been so handled so abysmally. And, I was just talking with a friend of mine who's a judge who was over swearing in one of my newly minted lawyers, and she was asking me, well, what do you think they've done wrong here? And I said, well, to my mind, what they've done wrong is when they realized something was not working or that there was a problem, or that we've never quarantined the healthy before in the, 200 years of this country, that they would be fluid and at least admit they made a mistake. And it's that nobody's ever wanted to admit that this entire year.
Well, the data started pouring in that schools were safe, teachers were safe, kids weren't really affected by it. Internationally and nationally, we had the data a long time ago that schools were safe. There is no plan in place that I'm aware of to reopen schools. At least my kids certainly are pretty dismissive of it when I bring it up. I heard something about February 15th, but you're also right. Like, things may never quite go back to normal. Like, I'm picturing a lot of school teachers wearing sweatpants and Uggs and a T-shirt with gravy on it and standing up there going, hey, listen, you want to study the Civil War or not? I'm cool.
Yeah, well, one of the interesting things I've seen this morning, which is what I suspected was going to happen, it'll be interesting to see how they react, is I won't even characterize their ideological underpinnings, but there is a substantial number of people who this is their logic. They, don't bother me with the fact that, for instance, there has been multiple opportunities to show that, for instance, outdoor dining has absolutely no correlation or causation to being a vector of this disease. But now, when the governor issues the order opening up, there's a certain segment, you know who they are, freaking out. Oh, my God, we're in an ICU crisis. We're in a hospital crisis, and they opened up outdoor dining. And it's like, well, wait a second here. Do you understand that the reason that we became the epicenter in the first place is absolutely causally tied to when they shut it down? But that doesn't bother them. Or do you remember when they were predicting that Christmas and New Year's was going to cause a surge upon surge, and the opposite happened? None of that gets through the fog.
Well, it becomes it's an interesting thing, a psychological dynamic, which is the longer schools are closed, the easier it is to keep schools closed. Now, it seems the novelty would be having open schools. You know what I mean? Like, that feels like
that's the push.
We're going against the norm in opening schools. And then a lot of it is I think there's two things working here. There's the superstitious native, throw the virgin in the volcano so we can get a better crop yield this year. And then the other one is this sort of, this is what I announced 3 months ago. I was wrong, but I will never take a step back or admit I was wrong. I'm sticking with this. And a lot of this stuff, reopening schools and outdoor dining and hair salons and even indoor dining, is essentially you asking these people who never say they're sorry to say they're sorry and who never admit they're wrong. Because when you live in the real world and you deal with the private sector, you can cling on to your cockamamie themes until the world ends, but you're going to go broke doing it.
Right.
These people.
It's exactly right. There's consequences.
There's consequences. These people in the city council, it doesn't really matter. They can just go hire a fourth law firm and squander more taxpayer money. I mean, I wonder how many hundreds of thousands of dollars they squandered fighting your case when they had no case.
Yeah, and they didn't think anything of it. By the way, how embarrassing must it be? How would you, and apparently, Adam, I don't know when this episode drops, but they're texting me as we speak that the county is going to have a press conference in about 35 minutes.
Of course,
so
they love a press
conference. God
conference.
knows what they're going to say, but that'll be interesting to see at 2:00.
Brian?
Well, speaking of which, Mark, I have a question for you. So let's assume, best case scenario, that the stay-at-home orders remain lifted. We can resume outdoor dining. Is it it's not just game on, I assume. I assume that the restaurants will probably have to adhere to the regulations set forth previously, like, whatever the 6 foot or the enclosed. Is that how it works?
Yeah. They would. You'd still have to adhere to the restrictions of, and you would want to anyway. I mean, I don't want to sit in a table in a, God forbid, one of those little yurt tents or yurt things with 100 different people. But the whole idea is, if you want to see somebody and you want to socialize and you want to do it periodically, you just sit with a party under 6 feet away from another party, and you do it, and you don't go crazy. And by the way, maybe you adhere to some of Vinny's advice, because I keep calling this the Vinny virus. I mean, there's all kinds of evidence and data that shows that if for the last year we have been encouraging people to actually get various degrees of their health improved, that might have increased the results as well. And by the way, it might make some sense, as we've got doses of the vaccine expiring on a daily basis, to take them over to assisted living centers, which are under 5% vaccinated and are accounting for over 70% of the deaths. That might be a good idea, too.
Well, yes, go ahead, Gina.
Sorry, can I just make I haven't heard of this happening in California, and I really hope it does. I can tell you in Kansas and in other parts of the country, when they, some of the doses, I think it's Pfizer's the one that you have to keep it like sub frozen. Right. So when they get first responders together and vaccinate them, if there are extra doses, the clock is ticking. So what they do, or what I can say in my experience they've done, is they put sort of the feelers out to anyone over 65 and say, come down right now and get this vaccine. And I'm lucky to say that my mom got to be one of those people, because they said, we have extra and they are thawing. Come down now. So I haven't heard of anyone doing that in California, as opposed to just throwing them in the trash.
I read something I think over the weekend as we were preparing the restraining order against the state, that we are ranked somewhere between 45th and 50 for our vaccine rollout. How embarrassing is that? I mean, it's just, we're not only the epicenter, but we're the dunces in the back of the class that doesn't go to school and can't even figure that out.
Well, I bet if we challenged, 4 months ago, we got hold of Elon Musk before he fled the state and said, you, my friend, are in charge of these vaccinations. I want you and your SpaceX team to figure out the most efficient way to do this. I think we can all prognosticate that would have been a much more efficient way to do it. But once again, what Gina's talking about is like a private sector solution, right? So if you had a business and your business was vaccinating people, you would never throw away inventory. But if you didn't pay for the vaccinations and you didn't really give a shit about your clientele, then you would. And that's kind of what L.A. is and what California is. They're just sort of the least private sector thinking state in the union. Last word, Mark.
Well, the last word is hopefully the Board of Soups does the right thing and understands they don't have to save face, so to speak, and kill more people by idiotic decisions. That's all I got to say. And wish you well, Adam, and let's frolic outdoors soon.
Please. By the way, 10E's, the restaurant out here, and also Engine Company number 20. I've been to both. They're both fantastic. Mark Geragos, thank you very much.
Bye, Gina. Bye, Bald.
Bye,
Adam.
So long.
Oh, and we forgot to congratulate Mark on the marvelous Mrs. Maisel property. Oh. That was in the news. Did you see that?
Right.
Who's going to the Catskills?
Yeah, he got all that acreage out there. I was talking to him about that off the air. I think he showed me pictures of that. Yes.
I'm sure it's glorious.
Yep. He's just, listen. You gotta launder all that cap money. You got to do it somewhere.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
You only give so much to last with Bob Bryan. You got to start buying property.
That's right. All right. Well, we'll talk some NFL with Dave Dameshek. I have thoughts. First, I'll tell you about 1-800-Flowers.com. When it comes to the perfect Valentine bouquet, it pays to plan ahead with 1-800-Flowers.com. Don't wait. Get going now. That's right. Amazing offers for my listeners. 24 multicolored roses, just $29.99. Or you can upgrade to the 24 red roses for just $10 more. These things showed up at the house the other day. They are beautiful. They are fresh. And I don't know, maybe it's me just getting a little bit older, but it's nice. It's not just the fragrance. It's the visual part. Get to treat yourself to and treat her to some nice flowers this year. All roses from 1-800-Flowers are picked at their peak, cared for every step, and shipped fresh to ensure lasting beauty. Think ahead this year, 24 multicolored roses, just $29.99, or you can upgrade to the 24 red. Let's get going today, right, Dawson?
To order 24 multicolored roses for $29.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for only $10 more, go to 1-800-Flowers.com, click the radio icon, and enter code Adam. That's 1-800-Flowers.com, code Adam. Hurry, offer expires Friday.
All right, we'll take ourselves a quick break. We'll be back with the great Dave Dameshek talking a little sports right after this.
And now, Alcoa presents Definitely Not a Jew on the Adam Carolla Show. Dateline, Anchorage, Alaska. A 37-year-old man was charged with assault after he bit a cab driver and then attacked him in a gas station parking lot with bolt cutters. Definitely not a Jew.
We're going to have Bryan with a Y, what? Fogel, joining us. He's the guy who did Icarus, and that was a great documentary.
Oscar winner for
won the
Icarus.
Academy Award, right? He starred in it too, right?
Oh God, I don't know. I can't say. Maybe I don't remember that.
Was he?
I thought it was all archival and animation, but was he?
Nah, maybe I'm screwing up my docs these days.
I could be wrong. I saw it once 2 years ago or 3 years ago, and don't remember. But it was great. I remember it being really, really, really good.
Was he in Icarus? You got to check Max Zapata or Bryan. We'll talk to Shek as well. Or am I screwing that up and making that up? I got to start doing more show prep. I thought.
You could be right. I don't remember it that specifically.
But am I making? We'll find out if he was in. But wait, tell me the theme to Icarus, Bryan.
Icarus was the one about the Russian doping scandal where they went undercover and, well, not went undercover, but there was stories of going undercover, like into the Russian labs and like
right. But didn't he
samples.
undergo the doping himself? Oh no,
I don't remember that plot point.
All right, now something's wrong with me.
It's possible. It's possible I don't remember.
Yeah, I think you would remember, though. I think I feel like you. I feel wrong in this situation. I thought he was.
We'll find out soon enough.
I thought he was. I thought he was training and redoing and involved with it himself. Wait,
now.
read the slug line.
Yeah. So while investigating the furtive world of illegal doping in sports, Bryan Fogel connects with Russian scientist Grigory Rodchkinov, the director of Russia's National Anti-Doping Lab.
Yeah.
So it looks like he wasn't. Based on the synopsis, it sounds like Bryan was involved. I haven't seen Icarus, so.
All right. Well, keep reading, because then I think he then started doing it himself to like participate in a cycling race or something like that. Or if I seen
that does sound kind of familiar now that I think about it. I remember the Russian doctor very well. That he was a big part of the movie.
Yeah, it says as Fogel continues his training, they become friends. So yeah, it does sound like Fogel is in.
All right.
Is featured in it.
Thanks for the crazy pills, Bryan. Dave Dameshek is here to talk a little football with Shek. Good to see you, Shek.
Unmute.
This is my favorite version of Shek.
Shek is.
Jeez Louise, sorry. Listen, I got so excited. You guys are talking about Tom Brady's on the dope. Is that what he's on?
No.
He's not. He's
That's not.
It was implied.
What you were
heavily implied.
I thought
the game is. I told my son before the Bills game against Gina's Chiefs, no chance for the Bills, no way. But the Tampa Bay game was a bit of an upset, I would say. All right? So let's talk about the big play. in the Green Bay game. Everyone's mad.
Ooh, I don't know which is the big play. It felt like there were like 17 different plays that people are very upset about still.
They're upset about the coach not going for it on fourth down.
Right.
Now, they're upset about taking the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands. I would argue that Aaron Rodgers could have helped his case a lot if he just tucked it in and ran on that third down play. Even if he got to the 3 or 4 yard line, that's a much easier putt than 4th and 9. And him trying to stuff the ball in between double coverage was just a bad decision on his part. And I think the coach kind of did it a little bit based on that. And if he just tucked it and ran, he may have scored, but he probably would have been stopped inside the 5. But then that's a much easier fourth down conversion. Sheck, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I felt like Rodgers outplayed Tom Brady, who nevertheless we have to anoint the all-time GOAT, not just in football, but in all-time sports, I think he's now ahead of Michael Jordan, and I don't know, people have tweeted at me, no, you're forgetting about blank soccer player. I'm like, get out of my way.
Wait, didn't Bill Russell win 9 straight championships?
I'm not, all right, I'm sorry. I didn't answer Ace's question, and now I've opened it up for Wiseacre Ball to jump in.
Wiseacre? That's
Bill Russell
fact.
Bill Russell played in that was 50-something years ago at a time when there were 8 total teams in pro basketball. They had a Wilt Chamberlain. That shows you how important pro basketball was in that era. There were 8 total teams in it, and they only played 2 rounds. This lionizing of old people. Bill Russell was great, but let's not get crazy about how tough it was to win a title when Bill Russell won those titles. Anyway. Ace, yes. That's the answer. You're exactly right. We can bellyache about LaFleur kicking the field goal, and there's a debate to be had, and he probably should have gone for it. But yes, Aaron Rodgers, you're underselling it. He should have run the ball into the end zone. It's not like it's Tom Brady or Phil Rivers or Ben Roethlisberger running with the ball. Aaron Rodgers can move. He would have scored a touchdown had he taken off. I don't know what he saw that made him try to jam that ball in there on third down, but he says that he thought that LaFleur was going to go for it on fourth down. I like that idea, throwing the coach under the bus. Yes, Aaron, we're supposed to buy that you were processing all that. Like, I could run it, but I'm going to throw it on the assumption we'll go for it on fourth down, so I'm going to let it fly here. Now, all that was going on in your head in the 0.2 seconds that all was going on? Yes, he should have scored a touchdown by running it in.
I agree, and the only reason I don't say – and it bothers me sometimes when people go, he would have scored easy. Yeah. The NFL defense, they're so fast. Mm-hmm. And how many times have you seen a guy look like he had a free lane to the end zone and some 4-3 guy just lit him up? Like, they close so fast. That door slams shut so fast once they figure out you're running.
It's true.
Also, the thing that's crazy about the NFL is a guy will be at the 2-yard line with a full head of steam. He's like, oh, he's just going to barrel into it. No, he is not barreling into the end zone. He's going to get lit up. So I don't know if he would have scored. He would have got inside the 4. Well,
if you can look at it, everybody has seen the replay a bunch of times. We see it up in front of us right now. I mean, there's just nothing in front of Aaron Rodgers. I hear you that those defenders can close you out pretty fast, but at minimum, he gets down to like the 1, so it's 4th and goal from the 1.
I agree.
With the game on the line.
Yeah, and also they do a lot of like, he should have won for it. Like, I don't know what the percentage is on 4th and 9 and a 2-point conversion, but that's a pretty low. Pretty low percentage.
I invoke it all the time. One of your most enduring sorts of hypothetical things that you have thrown out is, what would the other team not want you to do? That is really.
I thought the exact same thing at the exact same moment.
It is exactly right.
What would they not want them to do right now?
What is it that the other team fears you doing more? Do that. That's what you should do. And that you said that forever ago. And it really is the math that should be applied. And do we feel like the way things are going, based on the way our guys are going versus theirs in this city, what do they think is a bad move? That's what we should be doing to them right now.
Well, also, their defense could have got a stop. I mean, it was, 3rd and longish. They got called for defensive holding. The flag came in super late. I don't know where you guys are at with this, but what happened to uncatchable ball? I feel like
that's right.
That
you
ball,
rarely see that. Yes, that signal, the ball's uncatchable or whatever.
Well, when you saw, so it's third and I don't know what it is, 7, 8, 9 or whatever. The receiver does the slant. The defensive back grabs the end of the jersey and kind of stretches it out. It's probably more visually damning than it is sort of practically damning. But the ref sees the guy's outstretched jersey. You definitely have some defensive holding there, but the ball sailed. I mean, that ball really sailed. And in a situation like that with so much on the line, I would have liked them to examine whether they thought that ball would be catchable, because that was the end of the game right there, and the ball seemed uncatchable, and they have the rule. I don't know why they didn't
exactly right.
break it down.
You said the same thing. You said the same thing I said in the moment. Like, all right, fine. So he grabbed them one, and as everybody else has pointed out, there were a number of times you could have called PI during the game, but all of a sudden, with 2 minutes left, that's when you decide to flag it. But right, that the bigger issue to me was there's no way he could have caught that ball. So what are we even looking at there?
Do you guys think, I'll throw this out there, with the advent of Odell Beckham Jr. and et al., all of the incredible one-handed catches and just how the hell did he do that? Like nowadays they're so reticent to even call uncatchable, because what's uncatchable these days? Fucking Odell like fell backwards with a one-handed catch.
No, you do have to recalibrate what would have been catchable when we were growing up versus what is catchable now.
Right.
I'll tell you, if kids are listening, I'll tell you what is catchable: COVID-19. Mask up,
oh, wow.
6 foot distance.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll watch the play and we'll try to figure it out.
You know what? Gina's our replay gimp. Gina, is this ball catchable by an elite athlete?
Gets tugged on there.
I mean, the ball's over his head. I got to give Gina a shout out too, because I said, Antonio Brown is not in his prime, but he's still dangerous, especially if he gets singled up by the Packers secondary. And she said, he may be down, but watch out for Tyler Johnson. That kid also is
out of nowhere.
Well, I don't text you often, but sometimes I just got to make sure we're on the same page.
You saw I tweeted that, and you're like, hey, be careful.
I don't want to embarrass you in front of everyone publicly, but just know this.
Yeah,
I appreciated that, though.
Yeah. My feeling is at this particular point in this particular game, we could stop and at least have a civil discussion on whether this was a catchable ball or not.
How long must we continue? I mean, and by the way, just quickly, a shout out to your previous point. I love one of the worst cliches going that never ends and through the generations now. If a ball touches a defender's hands, that guy, by defenation, if he would have held on to that one, he'd still be running. Yeah, that was 6 points. There's never a chance that the guy would have ever gotten tackled. There's no way he would have got. He wants that one back, because if he caught that one, that's 6. That's 6 going the other way. But that
guy who's not used to running with the ball, he would never have been tackled.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He would have. But yes, how long must we entertain this bizarre reality in which? Here's the worst thing that ever happened to referees. HGTV combined with replays and everything else, because it is sadly ironic that millions upon millions of people are watching every one of these games and poring over every 1/100th of a second of it. And we all see what the correct call is. The only people who don't know the correct call are the 7 to 10 octogenarians in striped shirts on the what are we doing? Why can't somebody just be like, well, that would take too long. Then the games would be 7 hours long if you replayed everything. No, it wouldn't. We sit on the couch and watch games and go like, oh no, that he was in bounds there. It took 2 seconds to divine that was true. All you go is like, somebody's like, I don't care. It could be me. I'll let Carolla do it. I mean, bald, maybe not as much, but anyway, so somebody who's trustworthy just go like, no, that was an uncatchable ball. Okay, uncatchable ball. Next play. That's as simple as that. What's this all nonsense? Like we have to, that's not reviewable, and therefore, what are we doing?
Well, let's also review the general concept of it would make the games too long. First off, That's like saying, well, if the stripper stops in the middle of the lap dance to talk to her manager, it's going to take 45 minutes for her to give in. It's like, all right, so be it. I'm at the club. I'll order another drink. I'm just sitting around eating junk food in my sweatpants. I hope this shit goes on till midnight. I like the idea. I wish it never ended. You know what's going on? You know what you get when it goes on too long? You get the fucking off season where we all want to kill ourselves. Like, I would be fine if an NFL Sunday, instead of lasting 7.5 hours, lasted 9 hours. That's just more foreplay.
I'm gonna have to drink an extra beer 3. Oh, well, I mean, that's
humanity.
And nachos while we're at. I mean, this is going too far.
Reviews and stoppages mean more commercial breaks. Who in the NFL would be opposed to that?
I don't know. I can put off the beating of my children after the Rams lose for another hour if it means getting the call right.
Here's the other thing that is hard, that bends your brain, talking about looking at trusting your eyes and all that. Here's the thing that makes it hard with Tom Brady is, he wasn't the best quarterback on the field against the Packers on Sunday, let alone a lot of the games you watch Tom Brady play. And yet he's the best to ever do it. I mean, he can't run. I could beat him in a foot race. Literally, I can beat the greatest football player in the history of people in a foot race, and yet he's the greatest of all time. That bends the brain a little bit. It doesn't make any sense.
But it is kind of what we love about the game because of all the amazing athletes who have, all the guys that have showed up since Brady made the league, who could bench 100 pounds more than he could bench and do 10 more reps, who were a second faster on their 40 time, who ball velocity was greater, who could throw the ball deeper, like who had better lateral moves and running moves, and who would do the shuttle course in 10 minutes faster than Brady. All the hundreds of amazing guys who have completely flamed out during his 20-some-odd years in the league. We do kind of like that hope that if you study really hard and you bang an international supermodel and you eat avocado-flavored sorbet, that you too one day could realize this dream. Yeah. Because it is crazy that almost every quarterback he takes the field with would beat him. They would all beat him in a foot race, and they're all bench more. And they would all squat
and better arms and everything else, a lot of them. Yeah, you know what it is? Maybe it's the inspiration of seeing bald Bryan looking back at me here. To make a cinematic comparison, he's our Dr. Indiana Jones. Mm-hmm. Dr. Jones isn't stronger than anybody else. He doesn't have the resources that his foes have, and yet he keeps on winning. He's able to beat the bald-headed Nazi scourge in that fist fight next to the propellers. So a little bit of luck is involved there, but Dr. Jones does see those propellers coming, and the big Nazi bully doesn't, and he gets chopped up, much like the Green Bay Packers just did.
Yeah, wow. Very good analogy. Very apt analogy.
Dave, I read that analysis from 10 or 12 other analysts on Twitter this morning.
Yeah. Jason Whitlock tweeted that out earlier today.
Adam Schefter had a whole thing. Yeah.
All right, so now we got the Bucs and we got KC. I haven't checked, but KC, that game from pretty early on wasn't really in question. KC was going to win that game. KC looked far superior. I got to believe they're 4.5 point favorites going into this thing.
Not too bad. 3.
I think do you think that's going to move? I think that's going to move.
Sal, you remember Sal from
Cousin
the Man
Sal.
Show?
That's right.
Yeah,
what happened to that kid?
Well, he, as it happens, he and I are now doing a podcast that focuses on sports and gambling and mirth.
When's that going to launch?
It's been going all season, football season long.
Oh, this season?
This year?
No, yeah. The season that still has one more game, but then we're going to keep on doing it though too.
-3 is.
Well, that's also a shit. Well, one's called Extra Points. That's the one I do with
Cousin Sal. Okay,
and then Charlotte Wilder, and then Jeff Schwartz and I do -3. They're both there. They've been up and running for multiple weeks now. I encourage
you. Don't say.
Good for you.
Yeah, no. Well, thank you. Fingers crossed. We hope we can keep it going.
This is behind the paywall?
No. You can just jump in, check it out whenever you want to. You know,
so you can like find it. You just find it where you find like good podcasts or other podcasts.
Wherever you find the good podcasts, if you look, you'll also find extra.
Oh, okay, good. They let you guys in. That's great. Man. That's fantastic.
But yeah, he was explaining to me. Do you remember that old Sopranos episode where Chris Moltisanti is making book, and it was the one and he sets the line wrong because he's trying to find the middle, and he gets it wrong, and he costs some thousands of dollars, whatever.
He's a little light with Paulie that week.
Gina, there's your time to shine.
Yeah, now I can step in.
A little light. Yes. That is, Sal says he's like, if they open it, if at 3.5, that hook, the half point, makes it scary to bet the other side. And he has a whole thing. It's like, it's not just that they suspect at this point that it's going to be a 3-point difference. They're trying to draw in bettors on both sides to get the middle. This is what Sal explained to me. But yeah, I mean, I think this is pretty close. At first blush, you think, oh man, the Chiefs, when you watch them and they're cooking, like who's going to stop them? And then you kind of break it down. Are the Chiefs really going to be able to? That defense is good on Tampa Bay, and the best player that the Chiefs seem to have is Travis Kelce, and Tampa Bay has those fast linebackers who can kind of probably run a little bit with Travis Kelce. I'll take the Chiefs, but I mean, how many times are you going to bet against Tom Brady before you learn your lesson? I'm talking to myself when I ask that question.
Well, so far,
I think a lot of it is so many of the Super Bowls lately have been fairly close affairs, so people shave a point or two. If this was game 8 in the middle of the season, the Chiefs would be 5.5 points or something. Yeah. But they think it's the Super Bowl and it's Brady. Brady threw 3 picks, and they will get to Brady. I feel like they can get to Brady. Maybe he throws a pick or two. I think this could be the Chiefs. I think this could be a big kind of Chiefs win. And also, what's the speedster on the Chiefs' name?
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill blows up the entire defense every time because most speedsters, you have to watch out that they get behind you in the secondary, So most speedsters are like, go out on this guy, check him off the line, have a safety playing center field. Do not let this guy get behind you. He's got wheels. He's too fast. Tyreek Hill changes the game because he does a 5-yard hook turnaround. Yeah. They throw it right to him. He shakes and bakes the first guy, and if he gets any kind of daylight whatsoever, he just takes off. They don't have to use his speed to send him deep and to stretch the field. They just check down to him. And then because he's so goddamn fast, when you check down to him, you can't commit to him. So if it's 3rd and 6 and he does a 4-yard button hook and they throw it to him, you can't just go at him and stuff him saying you're not going to move the chains. You have to get back and get square with him and hope he doesn't get around you. But meanwhile, he's moving the chains.
It's like, again, I'll defer to you, Ace, on the car stuff, but it's not like he gets into gear, has to work to get to top gear. He's instantly running faster than maybe 2 or 3 human beings are capable of moving with his first step. It's crazy to look at. It looks surreal almost to the eyeball. Most people, it takes them 1 to 3 strides, and in the case of Dave Dameshek, you never get up to full speed, or to normal human being speed. But Tyreek Hill's the opposite. As his first step, it's he's greased lightning. There's nothing you can do with it, and that's on a football field. Where, as you say, these guys are so fast. It's weird. I don't know. It's weird that Tom Brady can shine with all these superhuman athletes out there, or that a guy like Tyreek Hill or let's say Lamar Jackson, when they run away from guys that are that fast, I don't know what boggles the mind more for me, but that it is something to watch Tyreek Hill run.
So they are diabolical, your Chiefs, that is, Gina, and that most the teams that have the undersized speedster, that's great, but when it's 3rd and 4, you don't really need to worry about them moving the chains per se, because that's where the big tight end comes in or the big possession type receiver comes in. But they use him on all the short stuff, and they move the chains with that guy, just like they did at the end of was it the Titans game the week before?
Cleveland.
Cleveland.
Ago, yeah.
Sorry, the Cleveland game. Like, they put him in motion. Nobody can stay with him, and he's got great hands for a speedster. I mean, sometimes they give up a little on the hands. I know, Gina, you're thinking of Willie Gault. I'm agreeing with you. They give up a little on the hands.
I just texted Chris. I don't know if you put it up yet.
Oh, sorry. That was it. So he's got great hands. They're just going to use him to move the chains, and when you focus too much attention on him, that's where Kelsey kicks in. I can't see them stopping. I mean, this could be a 28-17 type game pretty easily.
We're very spoiled with this. We have gone through a long stretch. I mean, the Peyton Manning versus Cam Newton Super Bowl wasn't that good. Last year's was pretty good. It had some dull moments, but for the most part, we don't see. It used to be for like a decade or 15 years, blowouts every year. It was just always a housing for some reason, and now we've gotten spoiled with good ones. But like Gina said, like, to your point, Ace, like she said, she texted me again. She said, like, Tyreek Hill is no Ronaldo Nehemiah. She said, just because Ron Brown is fast, that doesn't, because you put a football uniform on him, doesn't make him a football player. And
I used a lot of emojis. I was afraid you weren't going to be able to figure it out. It was just
I did.
Fast.
Yeah, no, it was a keen point you made. The way you really traversed the generations of football.
You know, I have a question, and this is a possibly a layman's question. It's just more of kind of the zeitgeist of what the rest of us know about football. How embarrassed / pissed is Belichick / the Patriots? Yeah. How humiliating is this for them?
They're good.
I mean, wouldn't you take this pretty personally?
Well, the beauty is, because it's Belichick, we'll never know how personally embarrassed he was, because he will not speak into a microphone.
Right.
We got to there's two things. I had a couple of belts, and me and my son watched the games over the weekend, and I yelled at him that defense was about putting hats on balls and the NFL was about putting fannies in seats. And he was annoyed by it the first 2,000 times I said it, but eventually I think he started to look forward to it as he closed his door and headed in his room.
You won him over with the coffin corner. Sure.
Yes. Now let's talk about the most important part of this whole Super Bowl is it the Allstate commercial where you got what's the insurance commercial where the guy is Aaron Rodgers?
Crazy that we don't know. I'm with you. I'm pretty sure because you said it something.
Aaron Rodgers is State Farm.
Oh, State Farm, and then who else is on State Farm?
Mahomes.
Oh yeah, Mahomes.
And
right.
Mayfield is Progressive or some shit?
Right. All right.
Something.
You guys riddle me this. I've seen this commercial 15 times. I was yelling this at Sonny in between fannies and seats and hats on balls, which is they keep running the Mahomes discount if everyone gets the same haircut he gets. So they're at the barber shop. Mahomes is getting his haircut. And you see the 4 or 5 young men that are all sitting around, and they have all got the Mahomes haircut, but they find out that State Farm gives the discount to everyone, regardless of whether they know Mahomes or their hair resembles Mahomes. I would argue, if in fact I did find out that State Farm actually gave you a discount based on having a fade haircut, I would immediately switch all my policies to State Farm. I like that. I like that kind of thinking. But I'm saying I've seen that commercial 2,000 times. Why are all the guys sitting and waiting at the barber shop if in fact they already got the haircut?
Sure. They got to have attended to, I guess. I'm not the guy to talk about haircuts, but I think you have to have them maintained from time to time. Dave, take it away.
I feel like y'all just went through it. You find that commercial.
Take it away.
And if you want to make it funny, put one woman in there that got the fade as well, right? They're all sitting around, and they all seem like 19-year-old boys.
Is it
Why
a
they
black
so young?
barbershop culture thing that you hang out after the haircut and
Maybe that's what we're supposed to take from it. Yes.
We're the wrong people to answer that question.
Yeah, no, I saw that LeBron series on HBO.
Yeah.
I know that all black people and Jon Stewart hang out in black barbershop.
That's what I'm saying.
If I may, this commercial bothered me for one reason, and the only one is, how many 19-year-old kids did you know when you were 19 who were aggressively shopping for insurance?
Yeah,
Ray's the only one. The only one I can say did that.
Another flaw with this commercial, they're all disappointed. It's like it's a little insulting to Patrick or to Mahomes. It's like they're all pretty disappointed to learn that they got the haircut for nothing. It's like he should be your idol.
Yeah, you're right.
You should want to do it anyway.
What do we call him, Mahomes? He walks around every day that way. No insurance break whatsoever.
The implication is, I got this stupid haircut for nothing, but please don't call your marquee endorser a stupid haircut.
Yeah, let's play that. We'll play that commercial. Let's see. It's the Patrick Mahomes. At the barber shop.
So Jake from State
Farm.
Getting it. You're saying you don't have to look like me to get the Patrick price?
No. State Farm offers everyone surprisingly great rates.
Man, it'll grow back, I promise.
I can't believe I did this.
The subtext is
price.
This is a stupid haircut.
My bad.
When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
It's a weird.
People like when you can make fun of yourself. It makes Patrick Mahomes look affable.
I know, but it's here. You be Patrick Mahomes, Brian. I'll be your agent. Hey, good news.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Got State Farm on line 3. They want to sign you up for a sweet, sweet contract.
Sweet.
Light lifting.
Milk them for all they got. That's what the Jews are good for.
Yeah. I'll tell you, my last name is Scheinberg. So anyway, Patrick.
I did the math.
Yeah. All right. I'm just going to put that aside because for Jews, we're focused much more on money than we do on pride. So wait a minute. I think I just knocked myself. All right. Anyway.
You made my point.
Yeah. You know how your head looks really lame?
Well, is this a comeback for the Jew thing?
No. I'm just saying they have a premise. I want to pitch you the premise.
Oh, okay. Wait, how one's head looks really lame?
No, your retarded haircut. Please, I can't be the first person to bring this up.
You're talking about the Mahomes? I got him sporting the Mahomes? Are you talking this or
with no discount on your automotive policy whatsoever.
Why would I want to highlight how stupid this is?
Well, for the money. I mean, so listen, I'm not the creative. I don't handle the creative on this. It was pitched to me. I thought it worked. I said I'd take it to you. It's light lifting. It's good cash. It's an afternoon. We can do it in town. We'll do it during the off season. So, you know how you have this bizarre and fucked up hairdo?
I would say unique, but okay, I'm going to give you the premise.
All right. Well, I'm sorry. I don't want it to be a pejorative here. But you know how no young person would want to share your hairdo?
I don't know that. I see a lot of my fans sporting the same do.
It's going to be a confusing pitch. Yeah. Anyway, we're in a black barbershop. Not too black. Okay. And it's kind of non-threatening, but we're in a black barbershop, right?
Multicultural.
Yeah, except for all black. Okay.
That's what Mahomes is all about.
Right. And you're getting your hair cut, right? You're actually doing that thing you do for free that you think looks cool that offers you no discount on your auto policy.
Signature sweet haircut, yeah. Okay.
Right. And so there's a bunch of young 19-year-old guys that are in there, right?
Okay. Yep, fans of mine, obviously.
Right. And unbeknownst to them, they went along with your super lame haircut thinking they were going to get a break from State Farm, but as it turns out, State Farm offers a break to everybody, regardless of the super confusing, bizarre, and visually unappealing haircut.
Right. Is this you editorializing about my hair, giving your true feelings, or is this part of the pitch?
You know what? I'm paraphrasing this is a creative. It was given to me by the creative team. That's all.
I have a hard time believing that the people that gave me $40 million to endorse their product put in the pitch that my haircut was super stupid.
I don't know if they used the word stupid or lame or retarded.
Let's not get mired in the muck.
Yeah. When did you learn the meaning of the word pejorative?
Just now when you said it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, you said it about 30 seconds
Because I know college was sort of,
It was a good time. It was a good time.
Yeah, I'm saying it was a good time for you. I mean, being a star athlete and all. Right. Anyway, God bless you for stealing my words. Yeah, all right. Anyway, let's not get mired in this. All I'm saying is do not let your head grow out to look like a normal citizen, okay? Whatever you do.
Don't worry about that. No, don't worry about that.
Right. And then, well, of course, hire some actors, young actors, to play your young proteges who want to get the discount on the haircut. And obviously, we're going to have to pay them a bump because they're going to have to walk around with this insane tuft of hair stuck to the top of their head for the next 6 months until it grows out and they look like a normal citizen.
Is this from the brief? I can't imagine the client would give this to us.
It's a half page. I'm paraphrasing. I'm a pretty good talker. That's why I get you the big bucks.
My only contract writer item is please strike the mean things they said about.
All right. And you know how you hate ketchup on your steak?
God, do I.
We're also going to make you look like an insane person when we do another one with Aaron Rodgers, who's just going to sit there and eat his vegetables, and we need you to take that ketchup container and go full bukkake on that steak, all right?
That's not Mahomes.
Right. But a guy with a hair that crazy would obviously want to drown his T-bone in ketchup, obviously. You're that insane.
I gotta get ready for the Super Bowl. This is taking way too long.
Are they having that this year? Hey, good luck. I'm going to hammer things out with the folks over at State Farm.
You are my agent. You should really know what game I'm playing, and especially the biggest game of the year.
Do you wear a helmet with that Super Bowl?
Of course.
All right, but make sure it doesn't screw up your insane hairdo. Okay? And scene. All right. Thank you.
I'd like to see Bald wearing the Mahomes.
I would,
too.
That's what I'm interested in.
Dave, I would like to see that.
Somebody get on that, please?
For the rest of your life now. Even when you're 78 years old, you have to have, if you get the Mahomes, you must keep it for the rest of your days, or do you go bald?
That's too big a commitment. I go bald. I would sport the Mahomes for up to a year. That's
Ace
cool.
could do it.
I could do it.
He's
right.
halfway there.
I could do it later day. All right, Bryan Fogel is on hold. He's a big-time director and producer and writer and documentarian. So we want to check -3, the pod, extra points with Cousin Sal's going to be on Friday, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and wherever you get the podcast, and shoot him a tweet at Dameshek. Thanks, Dave Dameshek. Always funny.
What a pleasure. Always a pleasure, fellas and lady. Be well.
All right. Bye. Let me hit Geico. Do you own? Do you rent? You want to get a break? You don't have to get a weird haircut to get a break over at Geico. If you own, you rent, you can bundle it with your automotive policy. It makes it easy. Geico does. To get all the savings you want, go to geico.com, get a quote, see just how much you could save. It is easy at geico.com. Do it today at geico.com. All right, the man who won the Academy Award for Best Documentary in 2018 for Icarus is on hold. Take a quick break. Be back to talk to him about his new doc right after this.
Adam Carolla's I'm Your Emotional Support Animal, navigating our all-woke, no-joke culture, has over 1,000 5-star reviews on Amazon. Here's one.
Another hilarious critical insult for taking the star the old culture from Adam 5-star.
Thanks, Ozzy. Pick up I'm Your Emotional Support Animal now. Available in all formats. For more, go to adamcarolla.com.
Bryan Fogel is joining us. The Dissident is the name of the latest docs. Available now on Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, and Video on Demand. And, of course, you know him best from Icarus, the Academy Award-winning doc. So congratulations on both docs, by the way. Good to talk to you.
Thanks, Adam. Good to be talking to you.
The latest, and I'll get Jamal Khashoggi if did I say that right?
Khashoggi?
In the documentary, they pronounce it
Jamal
differently.
Jamal Khashoggi.
Khashoggi, right? Yeah. So it's a story that most people heard of in the news a couple of years back. He was a journalist, went to was he a Saudi embassy and was, never seen again and then dismembered. I think it's how most people kind of remember the story, but what attracted you to the story?
Yeah, I mean, Jamal at the time of his murder was a Washington Post journalist. He had self-exiled himself from Saudi a year earlier, walked into the Saudi consulate in Istanbul on October 2nd, 2018. His fiancee, Hatice Cengiz, was waiting outside for marriage papers for wedding documents. And he never emerged. And as we came to learn over those next couple weeks, he was in fact murdered and dismembered inside of that consulate, essentially for dissenting against Mohammed bin Salman's policies, weighing in a different opinion, especially his writings in the Washington Post. And as you see in the film, his activity on Twitter. So essentially, this journalist who was moderate was murdered by the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia for voicing an opinion that didn't align with the Crown Prince's.
Bryan, I'm glad you said moderate because I watched the documentary. I loved it. It's very powerful. The thing that jumped out to me, and I wasn't familiar with the details of the backstory, was Jamal wasn't personally insulting MBS, saying like he molests children or like attacking him personally or really crossing any line. He had a point of view, a political point of view, went against MBS, but it wasn't what you'd say was worth dying for or worth being killed over, I guess.
It wasn't incendiary. Moderate. Yeah.
Well, that is what really kind of initially drew me into the story. The idea that we're in a world where not only do we take our freedom of press and freedom of speech and freedom of opinion for granted, that literally simply voicing an opinion is enough to get you murdered. I mean, you look at what's going on in Russia right now with Navalny. You look at what just transpired in our own country over the last few years, and here in the case of Jamal, this guy was 60 years old. He had worked for the Saudi royal family for most of his life, essentially, trying to help them navigate in Washington and in the UK by writing pro-Saudi opinion pieces and policy pieces. As Mohammed bin Salman takes power, all of a sudden there's a complete crackdown on any free speech. Jamal's threatened. Many of his friends also were journalists are arrested. We get into this in the film, and he flees the country, takes a position at the Washington Post, and he was not writing cruelly of the Crown Prince. He was simply saying, hey, I think my country can be a better place with freedom of press, with freedom of opinion, that women should be able to have rights. Women should be able to leave their home without the permission of a man. And these were the kind of things that he was saying. And at the same time, he was disagreeing with Trump's relationship with Mohammed bin Salman. And for this, he was murdered.
Let's explore a relationship with the Saudis because, they were implicated quite heavily in 9/11, and there's been a lot of families, survivors of 9/11, have been trying to have lawsuits against the Saudi government and stuff like that, and our country is not helping that process at all. And is it all oil? Is it all money? Like, what do we need them for? I guess is the question.
It's gotten further complicated in recent years. I think if you look back to the House of Saud, which is, the Saudi royal family, which is really Saudi Arabia is controlled by one family. And this family, it's an authoritarian essentially dictatorship. there is this family controls the vast majority of wealth and resources in the country. And there was a time when Saudi Arabia was basically 50% of the world's oil supply was coming from Saudi. This is not the case anymore. And of course, as we change more and more over to renewable energies, and obviously Tesla's up, 10 or 20x this year, right? That there is less dependency. Of course, the United States is also producing a ton of oil, and other countries over the last couple decades have stepped forward with their own oil production. So we are nowhere as dependent as we think. I think the dependency relies more in the economic interests. You see, the United States is the world's biggest weapons manufacturer. And what most people don't realize is our single biggest export is weapons. That's what we make. That's what we sell. We think it's other things. It's weapons. And Saudi Arabia is the single biggest buyer of weapons from the United States. So this is where it lies. I think the oil obviously is a huge factor because as basically the leading member of OPEC, they can control oil prices. And, as we saw with Trump during the administration, he was pressuring the Saudis to either raise oil prices or pressuring them to lower oil prices. And, what they did with Russia last year, where they, really, put a strangle on the market, because for the Saudis, they can basically produce oil for nothing. It doesn't cost them anything at this point, or costs them, less than any other country in the world. But I think that it's way beyond oil. I think it's really in the business interest, the investment interest. The world's largest hedge fund, SoftBank, is all Saudi money. The Saudi Sovereign Wealth Fund, which is the most liquid sovereign wealth fund in the world, which invests tens of billions of dollars in companies like Apple, is
yeah,
Saudi
I agree.
money.
Well, it has to be. It can't be oil anymore. We're pretty much independent over the last couple of years, and we get. Well, I don't know about the Keystone pipeline situation, but we were pretty independent, and that may come back with enough pressure. But it's not oil; it's now just other money. I will say, sidebar. It sounds like a joke. I'm not kidding. Speaking of Tesla, Tesla is now a real car driven by real people, because when Tesla first came out, it was just a handful of celebrities who wanted to, make a statement. When I was driving to work today, I pulled up next to a Tesla. Dude inside it was smoking. And I want to tell Elon Musk, that means you've arrived.
You have a crossover hit.
Right, because you would never find a smoker who bought a Tesla. This guy flew in the face of everything. Now, the day people smoke in Teslas is the day Teslas are accepted as regular cars. No more tree huggers hanging out with Leonardo DiCaprio. This is just way to get to work. So God bless Tesla and Elon Musk, a guy smoking.
The fact that you bring that up, I never even thought about that. But yes, the idea that you would smoke in a Tesla other than smoking weed or off your vape. That really is
game
really
changer.
The arrival of Tesla as mainstream.
I wonder if since they moved,
anybody can drive a Tesla.
That is right. Any Armenian in Glendale can drive a Tesla. I agree. Wait a minute. Brian had a question. Sorry, Gina. I jumped.
It's a follow-up to what Brian was talking about weapons sort of replacing or the just the idea that the Saudis are valuable to us in what they spend. One of the many things, Brian, I liked about the documentary, and like I said, it was a very good start to finish. One of the many things I liked was so I remember when this happened, there was a lot of people. What's the response going to be? What's Trump going to do about this? Is he going to do anything about this? And of course, he didn't do anything. But you didn't belabor the point. You didn't have to. You know what I mean? There was enough. There was just enough of Trump. At one point, Adam, he's holding up like a chart. showing how much the Saudis spend, basically saying, I'm not going to pursue the very clear subtext being, I'm not going to pursue any action because look how valuable they are to us. Look how much they spend. And it's a referendum on how the world works. You can say, well, that sucks, but it's a reality on reality's terms.
Well, this was something that, Trump, love or hate him, I mean, this guy did better than anyone else, which was, hey, it's all about business. I mean, there was no bullshit in terms of, I care about human rights. I give a shit that somebody just got murdered and hacked to pieces in a consulate. I mean, this is going to cost us billions of dollars. I'm going to take a pass on taking any action. And Brian, you're 100% right. In the film, I didn't want to go down the Trump Kushner rabbit hole. That wasn't where I was going. It was just simply, hey, this is what happened. Oh, and by the way, both the House of Representatives and the Senate, bipartisan across the aisle, wanted to sanction the Saudis, wanted pass legislation to block weapon sales, pass legislations to try to punish, for the Khashoggi murder. And Trump vetoed all of it. And just today, there's a story in the New York Times about the return of all these companies to Davos in the desert, which is Mohammed bin Salman's big investment initiative. Last week there was a story in the Washington Post about, the Saudis trolling our film on the movie ratings websites. So, I mean, everything that is put forward not only is real. I mean, you're watching it in real time, and and one of the main things that Biden has said as he's come into office is that he's planning to reassess the U.S.-Saudi relationship, and they have hired up tens, if not hundreds, of lobbyists to try to prepare for what they think is going to be a real change in its relationship with the United States. And there's been a lot of press on this in the last week since Biden has taken office as to what is going to be with the U.S.-Saudi relationship, because Biden has been very forthright of holding Mohammed bin Salman accountable for this murder. He also tried to rendition a Saudi living on U.S. soil to murder him. He sent agents into Canada to try to come to the U.S. I mean, it's really crazy dictator stuff.
I always say, what year is it? Like, I'm really surprised that, 2021, and this shit is as old as civilization. I'm always naively surprised. If you would have got hold of me in 1987 and said, in 2021, the same old shit is still going to be going down, I'd just be like, no, we're going to be one globe at that point. We're going to have supersonic airplanes that get us from here to there in 10 minutes. We're all going to sort of join arms. It's crazy how deep this shit runs and how old it is. And it's like literally the mentality. I mean, the techniques are modernized and the technology is, but the mentality's hundreds and thousands of years old. And it's crazy that we're still there. Sorry.
You know what?
Yes.
Yeah. No, I was going to say, what you're so right about this is I in the story of of Icarus and exposing this huge sporting fraud. I mean, here I went into a story thinking, it's individual athletes cheating and the system is a fraud. I could have never imagined that an entire country, a nation state, for decades had literally systematically cheated its way through every Olympic Games, every international competition, et cetera. And here again, coming into this story, what was so shocking to me is not only how barbaric this regime operates, but the concept that in this day and age, and I think we just keep taking this for granted in the United States, this idea of, oh yeah, we're safe. Oh yeah, we can we can send out a tweet saying we don't like this or we don't like that person, or we can send a tweet, whatever, crooked Hillary and Trump should be arrested and whatever that is, and think that, hey, no big deal. And yet there are countless countries around the world, and here's Saudi Arabia in particular, one of the richest and most powerful, where literally voicing an opinion is enough to get you beheaded, let alone somebody sending a kill squad for you overseas to, rendition and murder you. I mean, it's unbelievable. One of the things that we get into in the film is the story of Omar Abdulaziz, who's 27-year-old Saudi activist living in self-exile in Montreal. He leaves his family when he's 19 years old. He goes to school in Montreal because Saudi Arabia has been paying for the last couple decades for its college kids to basically come over into Western schools to be educated, with the promise that if the government pays for their education, to come back to Saudi Arabia. So Omar comes to Montreal. He literally starts living with a Jewish family as an exchange student. So his mind is blown. Suddenly goes, oh, hey, these Jews aren't bad. And the next thing he's learning about democracies. He's learning about freedom of speech. He's learning that you can voice an opinion. And he takes to Twitter. He starts, basically voicing opinions on Twitter. And the next thing he's at odds with Saudi Arabia. And they literally send a rendition team to Montreal to try to rendition Omar back to Saudi Arabia, where arguably he was going to be jailed. And when that fails, they arrest his two brothers, 23 of his friends, because they hacked his phone, torture his brothers. And here we are 2.5 years later. His brothers and his 23 friends are still sitting in a Saudi prison as basically pawns to try to get Omar to basically return to Saudi Arabia, where they'll jail him for the rest of his life for voicing an opinion. And this is happening right now. I mean, this is real.
Gina.
Well, first of all, I can't imagine the survivor's guilt that he must have about that. And it was an incredible documentary. As someone who's been, following the story, there were so many questions that we still had. And I really want to thank you for answering those. But it's funny because, we talk on one hand like it's barbaric, and, they talk about getting a 70-pound order of meat to cover up the smell of burning flesh. And, so it's to put it lightly and to be a little glib, it's still analog in many ways. But when it comes to Twitter and the online community, between the Arab Spring and all of these things that couldn't have been done, I don't know how they would have been done without Twitter. I was wondering if you can speak a little bit about, I hope I'm remembering the hashtag right, what do you know about the bees?
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
So, this kind of goes back to the whole, Adam's comment of, I can't believe it's 2021. Well, part of what has happened in, this last, decade is, the social media. The power of social media. We all know what it is right now. I mean, we had a president who, basically ran his administration from Twitter. Our election was hacked, with what Russia did on Facebook and Twitter and social media platforms. So, here in Saudi Arabia, because you don't have free speech, because you don't have freedom of opinion, Twitter is essentially the parliament of the people. And in the United States, the infiltration of Twitter is something around 15-20%, like 1 in 5 people are on Twitter. In Saudi Arabia, it's 80%. 80% of the population is on Twitter. And the reason why is because, you can basically have the VPN, you can create a name, you can be anybody you want on Twitter. You can create 20 accounts on Twitter, right? And you can basically then get access to what other people are tweeting, other people's opinion, or tweet out your own opinion. So what Saudi Arabia does as Mohammed bin Salman rises is they realize that basically the Arab Spring and all of these revolutions that have been happening in the Middle East have basically started on Twitter, basically started in these social media platforms. just like the BLM movement started, just like Me Too started on Twitter, right? And so they come up with a plan that they're going to hire thousands and thousands and thousands of people, Saudis, basically to create fake accounts on Twitter so that they can control the public narrative. So if anything comes up on Twitter, like whatever, I disagree with Mohammed bin Salman, the next thing you know, that person's Twitter account has like 7,000 posts on it. You're a traitor. You're a piece of scum. You don't know what you're talking about. Mohammed bin Salman is God. Mohammed bin Salman is the greatest thing since Wonder Bread. Mohammed bin Salman, is bigger than Godzilla. It doesn't matter what this is. And they crush this person's thought or opinion in a second. At the same time, they're putting forward hashtags to go trend. So everything trending in Saudi Arabia is basically a government hashtag that they're planting through their trolls that then are retweeting and retweeting and retweeting, making the hashtag rise to the top. So what Omar Abdulaziz, this Saudi dissident, and Jamal Khashoggi start working on is basically a plan where they can basically fight fire with fire. So Omar gets Jamal to fund him some startup money to order thousands of SIM cards with Canadian and US addresses. So it'll appear like it's coming from the United States or Canada. They disseminate all these SIM cards among Saudi youth, Saudi activists, those that, want change in the country, to start combating the flies. So as the flies are tweeting, the bees, which is the what do you know about the bees, which was the hashtag that they got trending to be number one in Saudi Arabia for a moment, literally a couple days right before they killed and murdered Jamal, was essentially showing that they could fight fire with fire. And it was this plan that Omar and Jamal were working on to basically take back control of the public sphere and of the public narrative to put forward what was really going on in the country rather than simply what the kingdom wants you to know.
I got a final question for you, Bryan. Philosophical, but I think we can all kind of join in on this one. So I was thinking about, I can't believe it's 2021. We're still doing this. Any culture or any society that oppresses women or treats women cruelly or unfairly, is there any hope for them until that activity changes? Meaning, women, I've always kind of said that when you live, I'm 200 pounds, my wife's 125 pounds. If I wanted to use my fists, I could get my way. You know what I mean? Like, men are bigger than women. They can physically do whatever they want, but we have figured out that that's not the answer. That's not the direction we want to go as a culture. It shouldn't matter on your size or your upper body strength. And it's also a bigger picture. Like if you micro or macro, like show me a guy, we'll go micro. Show me a guy who rules his wife or his daughters with an iron fist and is abusive and gives them no rights and makes a totally separate set of rules for his son than he would be for his daughter or himself than he would be. Could you ever really trust that guy? Could you ever really do business with that guy? Would you be scared that if you did business with that guy would just have you killed by a drifter and take all your money or collect the insurance? Like, is there any really... Does that guy fit into society? And can a culture fit into the society as we know it, 2021, if in fact it's simultaneously oppressing women? Like, how could you be good in international affairs and business and oil and whatever else and oppress women? And I'm just wondering, maybe we should reverse engineer this. Maybe we should work on the oppression of the females in these cultures. And because the day any culture says women are equal, they have equal rights, they have all the same rules and under the law and in societies as men have, the culture immediately evens out. I feel like those are much better cultures. So, or name me the culture that oppresses women and is a fantastic culture. Like, well, we love We love being neighbors to that culture. We love doing business with that culture. Like,
the Saudis would tell you that they're a fantastic culture.
Depends on who you ask.
Right.
Look, I mean, this is where I think when you look at actual change that can come. So there's a woman sitting in a Saudi prison right now. She's been there for 3 years, and she was just sentenced to another 6. Her name is Lujan al-Hatul. One of her brothers lives in Canada. The sister lives in Belgium. They have been fighting for her release. She was arrested 3 years ago, essentially for getting to Twitter and going that women, shouldn't be under the guardian system. So in Saudi Arabia, if you're a woman, you cannot leave the home without the permission of an 18-year-old male in the house. So if your mother, right, wants to leave the house, she needs the permission from her 18-year-old son to be able to leave the house. Literally. So Lujan, was basically writing and tweeting about this. She was also suggesting that when they leave her house, should not have to be covered head to toe in a burqa where you could only basically see their eyes, and that women should be able to wear clothing that they want to wear. For this, she was arrested, spent 3 years in a prison, tortured, and then just a couple weeks ago, at her trial, they found her guilty of all these crimes and sentenced her to another 6 years in prison. This is all the same time while Mohammed bin Salman is out there going, "I'm a great reformer. Please take my money. Please take my investment.
I'll give you a concert. It'll look
and
very
I'll give you a concert." Right. So if he can get Nicki Minaj there, if he can get Drake there, if he can get stars there, or he can get Jason Momoa to come to Saudi Arabia and pay him $1 million for a photo op, which he did, right? Then all of a sudden that whitewashes everything because, oh, hey, check it out. Here's Jason Momoa. He's in Saudi Arabia. Here's Nicki Minaj. She's in Saudi Arabia. And so this is what he's been doing. The same thing with Formula One racing. Right. While you have thousands and thousands of people sitting in a jail, without charges on human rights abuses for doing something as innocently as saying that women should have rights. So I think, Adam, that, it has to come from this place, and this is something where the Biden administration could possibly have, a huge impact in, which is what we see over and over again is that the greed element of all this prohibits governments, members of the G20, or businesses or corporations from basically standing up to human rights, right? I mean, they just go, well, if you're Apple, you're going, hey, I'm selling $3 billion or $4 billion a year of product in Saudi Arabia. We're not gonna put embargoes on our goods or boycott our goods because we sell them there.
Well, yeah, look at China, obviously.
Right. China, exactly. So it takes a bigger picture there, and the way that we know is leverage, financial leverage, just as their financial leverage is what is allowing so much of this to happen. Financial leverage on the other side, I think, would actually change the narrative. It's a question of when that comes, and as we know, in the Arab Spring or Me Too or BLM movement or all these other social movements, is it has to start with the people. We can't rely on the government or corporations to do the right thing. So the people have got to rise up. And in a place like Saudi Arabia, that is very difficult to do. I mean, just the images out of Russia over the last few days, it's hard to fathom that, that Russia won't, literally arrest this guy as he goes back to soil, knowing that there's, millions and millions of people in the country that like him and they don't care. And this is authoritarian rule dictatorships. So it's complicated.
We talk about Adam talks about a micro version, of the thing. The example you're talking about is towards the end of the film, Jamal's now widowed fiance. I don't know if that's how you say it, but the now fiance whose man is dead goes to the United Nations to speak about her experience and talk about what happened. Who gets up and walks out during her speech? The Saudis.
Right. And again, Chris can look it up, but there's a lot of 9/11 Saudi implications that, we're not that interested in looking into. Yeah, look, the problem is, human foible and large and small. Nicki Minaj and Jason Momoa. Is it Momoa? They're going to take a check. They're going to get on an airplane, and so is the U.S. government, and so is Apple, and so is Nike, and so is the NBA. Like that's what they do, and hoping that they do the right thing is kind of it's almost naive. You know what I mean? They're not people, companies, entities, celebrities. They're not usually in the habit of turning their back on tons and tons of dollars. That's how they became who they are. The reason we know who Apple is because Apple's in the business of making money, and they're not. Now it's funny. I always say look out for the good vibes commercials, because nobody does more good vibes commercials than Apple, which I always look at it as like Ellen dancing at the beginning of her talk show. Like, well, why are they doing that? I will say, I don't know if you're allowed to drive as a female in Saudi Arabia. Probably not. So
Mohammed bin Salman. So one of his big reforms was women are now allowed to drive in Saudi Arabia.
That's nice.
And this is a new thing over the last couple of years. Yet Lujan Al Hatul, the woman who was basically pressuring him to let women drive in Saudi Arabia, sits in a prison because she was pressuring him to allow women to drive, and it wasn't. And he needed it to be his idea, not Lujan's. And I don't know what restrictions there are on women driving, if there's still a curfew or not, or how that works. I mean, I'm sure we could look that up. But that has been a good progression.
I don't.
Women actually can drive.
I don't know if they make you drive with the burqa, but that is goddamn dangerous. Oh. Like, I don't know. You better be on your mirrors, because you got no peripheral at all in that bad boy. The Dissident. Sorry, I keep wanting to say Descendant because of that stupid Clooney movie. The Dissident. It's available now on Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, and Video on Demand as well. And thedissident.com is where you go to the website. Twitter, by the way, at Bryan with a Y, Bryan Fogel as well. Bryan, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks. I've been posting a bunch of stuff on my Instagram handle, which is at Bryan Fogel. And if your listeners, if any of them loved Icarus, I promise you'll really like The Dissident. We crafted the film as a real cinematic thriller. It feels like a very big film, but it's all true and it's real, and hoping that the film will bring about change. And just to clarify, it's available for rent on VOD. So it's not on the streamers, but you can rent it from Amazon and iTunes, Apple Movie and cable providers, etc. So hoping a lot of you will see it. Thank you, Adam.
Please go out and check it. And whenever you have your next project or just want to chat, come back on the show, Bryan.
Would love to.
Appreciate it. Bryan Fogel. All right, let me hit cross rope, and then we'll do some news. Perfect time to jumpstart your New Year's fitness goals. Get cross rope and jump in with both feet. Exercise classes are difficult to fit into your schedule. Just 30 minutes with cross rope's patented weighted jump rope. It's a weighted jump rope system, and it's good for cardio, but you also get the benefits of full body resistance training. I have this rope. They have different weighted ropes. It is an amazing workout. When you put weight into the rope, you have no idea just how quickly you can feel it in your arms and your shoulders and your back. Free anytime access to workout routines and fitness challenges with the Crossrope app. And you can track your workouts and map your progress as well. 60-day, risk-free, money-back guarantee with Crossrope. Right, Dawson?
Jumpstart your 2021 fitness journey with Crossrope. For a limited time, save $50 on Crossrope's most popular jump rope fitness bundle at crossrope.com/Adam. That's $50 off a Get Fit bundle at crossrope.com/Adam.
All right, we'll take a quick break. Come back with Gina Grad in the news.
Give me the news with Grad. News with Gina Grad. Breaking, viral, weird crime, protest, politics. Give me news with Gina Grad. Stuff they saw on TMZ. Joe Biden, Kamala. Meet news with Gina Grad.
The news with Gina Grad.
Real quick, something that the Jason Momoa and the Nicki Minaj thing reminded me of, Adam. I know it's not even remotely on the same scale, and I would imagine it would be a lot more looking inward had it been millions of dollars. But a long time ago, someone reached out to me to see if I'd be interested in a free trip to Lebanon on like a Goodwill tour and all this amazing stuff and all these incredible places, and we'd be, taken personally. And I really didn't have to think very long about saying no. And they knew I wanted to travel, and it would have been first class everything. And I just couldn't make it good with me, a Jewish chick to go to Lebanon and glad hand and say it's awesome here and everybody should visit. It just I couldn't do it.
Where did they discover you? Was it doing the soundtrack for the Golden Girls mockumentary porn, or where did they find you? That's exactly right. They're really into sitcom.
You know her from.
Yeah,
it wasn't around that time though.
It's sad because these regimes have so much money, and when they tell whomever celebrity, we'll give you $1 million or $5 million and we'll fly you out first class and all you have to do is appear and blah, blah, blah. Like, we can do all the judging we want, but how many amongst us would just go, thanks, keep your money, no thanks, who do you really know?
Sounds great.
And the way they're treated, why wouldn't Nicki Minaj come back and go, it's really not that bad. It's actually kind of awesome. And now that's what the world thinks women are treated like in Saudi Arabia.
That's why I always felt bad for Dennis Rodman vis-a-vis North Korea. To him, he's a fucking dullard. To him, he probably thinks it's the greatest place in the world. They treat everyone like kings. Yeah. They let you do. It's like, you're fucking Dennis Rodman, and the guy's obsessed with you.
Right.
Well, if I might filibuster for just one more second, and I really appreciate Adam just letting me get this out really quick. You know how a couple times a year I let you guys know that I'm involved in this awesome charity group called Art of Elysium, and they work with the Children's Hospital in Los Angeles, and I host these big events for the kids. They're all from the maxillofacial ward, so they've all had some sort of facial scarring for one reason or another, and we do these big graduation events for them, and I've been involved with it for a million years.
Have we cured this by now?
I don't know if that it's curable, Brian, but thanks. You know what? Whatever, but a lot of times, truly, whatever they went in for has been cured, but it's left them with some scarring. So the group Art of Elysium is doing this awesome thing because they've been around for 23 years. So for $23, you can just donate to this thing called Pledgeling. It's at the top of my Twitter. You don't have to be on Twitter to go to me. Twitter.com/GinaGrad. It's pinned to the top. If you donate $23 to that link, you will get 9 prints that are amazing artists. 3 from Shepard Fairey, 3 from Cole Sternberg, 3 from the name escapes me. But there are 9 pieces. You can print them, you can frame them, you can put them on a mug, do whatever you want with them, post them on social media. They're yours. And they were all donated by Shepard Fairey and these amazing artists. I work really closely with them. I have for a million years because I believe in what they do. They're incredible. And my friend, Richard Chang, who's just a friend and been a listener for a long time and just love him to death, he said for the next 24 hours as this airs, he'll match any donation up to $1,000.
Wow.
So if you donate $23, that'll be $46, or $5 will be $10, whatever you want. Please go to twitter.com/GinaGrad. Hit the pledge link button, donate there. Let me know so I can personally thank you, and it will be doubled for the next day and a half. So thanks for that.
Thank you, Gina Grad. The $23 in the 23rd year is good now, but when they were trying this 6 months in for one of their earliest pledge drives, 50 cents. Yeah. 50 cents will get you a $40 coffee mug. If you,
that's right.
Yeah, that was a money loser.
That's right. Why they're having to make up for it now.
Yes. All right. So what do you got, Gina?
So we talked a little bit about with Bryan Fogel things that may or may not be reversed with the new president here. Well, one thing that is going away is President Joe Biden did sign an executive order that will lift the Pentagon's ban on transgender people serving in the military. So first Obama lifted it, then Trump unlifted it. Now it's being lifted again. Biden has directed Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin to prohibit discrimination against troops based on their gender identity. According to the Department of Defense, there are thousands of transgender troops serving in the military.
Really?
Had no idea.
No, I feel like that's. I'm trying to figure out what percentage of our society is transgender. I mean, it's obviously way less than 1%. I mean, but I guess you could still get to thousands with way less than 1%.
Well, is that the self-selecting group that somehow finds their way into the military?
Well, let's see if we can figure this out. Most transgender these days are women going to men. Right?
Is that true? I don't know.
I don't know about that. Yeah.
I don't know what the stats are on that, but I'm curious.
Well, there's an interesting. Yes. So in the beginning, it used to be men cross-dressing or men becoming women or men wanting to be women. Lately, it's been many more women going over to the male side. Remember we were talking about that story X amount of months ago where I was telling you that Drew was talking to some sociologist or somebody like that who was thinking or who posited that a lot of heavy exposure to hardcore porn may have also been steering it this way. Like, I don't want to be underneath Ron Jeremy. You know what I mean? I don't know anyone who does. Maybe his cellmate now. So I think there's more traffic going from the women to the men department. In the past, it was probably more from the men to the women. And I would just guess that. And then you go to the Army, you get a cool uniform. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
right.
what's more manly than boots and tight dungarees and one of those weird belts that has no holes in it for some reason?
Right.
I don't know why. But whenever they did the uniform decree on the military uniforms, like, we can have belts but no loops. Understand? But one smooth strap with some weird system where you slide it and you cinch it, and then there's a weird camber. There's a weird locking mechanism, and then someone went, well, people had belts with holes in them for the last several hundred years. No!
Not in this man's army.
Not in this man's army. We need them to be like weird ratchet straps where you hold down your gardening equipment in the back of your pickup truck. Like we need them to be like tie-downs. They're really not belts. We call them waist tie-downs, shirt tie-downs, no holes in belts. And then everyone's like, but I don't get it. It'll ruin the aesthetic of the entire outfit. We can't have that.
It's not for you to get, son.
Yeah, that's right. Yours is not to ask why. Remember,
pay grade.
You know what's weird is I was thinking about as I was thinking about getting haircuts today and all that kind of stuff. Every movie, Officer and a Gentleman, was this way. Every 70s and 80s movie always started with the haircut in basic training because you think about it. when they were recruiting, like you take like Full Metal Jacket or something like that, when you're taking people off of college campuses or out of society in 1969 and bringing them into this man's army, you're going from super long Keith Partridge hair to shorn like a sheep. Wouldn't make a difference in today's Patrick Mahomes State Farm commercial. Like, just so what? You get your hair buzzed. You may walk in that way.
Brian's ready to go.
I'm ready for basic training.
All right, good. We've opened up the military.
So this is a little bit long, but I think worth it because we have another Army Hammer update. I did not care about this story, and now I do. So,
well, I only cared about it because he doth protest too much.
Yes, and we have some bizarre stories coming out now. I mean, not just like, whatever. They're more specific. So for the past 2 weeks,
he dropped out of a big movie because someone wrote some weird texts that weren't, or tweets that weren't true, or something. Like, why did you drop out of a movie in that case?
Yeah.
But yes, here we go.
So for the past 2 weeks, various women have come forward with claims about him and his personal life, while his main unnamed accuser has claimed that more than 200 women have contacted her regarding similar relationships with Armie Hammer. Since then, 2 more of his former girlfriends have publicly come forward to share their stories. Now, check this out. Here's the 2 of them. App creator Courtney Vucekovich. She dated Hammer from June to October of last year, according to Page 6. She said she wouldn't be surprised if the screenshots were legitimate. She said, "He said to me he wants to break my rib and barbecue and eat it." The claims all share another common theme, which is Hammer allegedly exhibited grooming and other emotionally abusive behavior toward all the women the same way. Meanwhile, in January, the interview with Star Magazine model Paige Lorenz, she made similar claims about Hammer. They dated right after, from October to December, just a few months ago, right after Vucekovich. So Lorenz says, quote, "He said he wanted to find a doctor that would remove my ribs. He was telling me you can remove the bottom ribs so you could smoke them, cook them, and eat them. He kept saying, you don't need them." But she said it just wasn't all talk. Lorenz claimed that he carved the letter A into her skin using a knife, which was very painful, and that Hammer made a big deal about it. Now, of course, he's being very quiet about this. He's been married for 10 years to Elizabeth Chambers. They're going through a divorce. He's saying this is all bullshit, but yes, he is stepping away from a major film with J-Lo right now. Both women said he wanted to cut my ribs out and eat them.
Well, hold on. Was he doing the A in order to sort of mark her as his territory, or was he trying to get her to pledge a black fraternity? Because those...
You know what? I have not done my due diligence.
Wait, option C, like branding a steak.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that he could get down
That
with.
actually adds up.
Yeah. Now, I guess we'll know if this is true or not by whether he enters rehab, right?
Yes.
Yeah, voluntarily. Yeah.
Mea culpa.
Because if you enter rehab...
Preemptively, sure.
Yeah.
Kind of a weird thing. There's this rib thing.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to tell. Is it goofy, weird, jokey stuff?
Yeah, is that like Prince Charles wanting to be the tampon or whatever? Like, I don't think he actually wants to physically transform into a tampon, but he's a horny dude.
Well, my grandfather used to say you can break the world down into 2 parts. Son, you want to be the tampon, you want to be the string. And I've always said, I want to be the string, Pappy. And he
sounds
said,
better in the original Hungarian.
Right.
I get the idea.
There was some hammer nail one, too, that he would use, but I forgot about that one.
Yeah, sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield. Yeah. Same thing.
Right. But you want to be the string, not the
right.
tampon. Could be some sort of weird thing. On the other hand, I hate to get too judgmental here, but he's a real blue blood who comes from wealth, like major wealth with the Arm and Hammer, right? Like, this feels very. This doesn't feel like new money to me.
No,
this feels like old money.
I don't even know if it's funny. Armand Hammer, not the brand Arm and Hammer, but it is Armand Hammer was his great grandfather, the oil tycoon.
Right.
Who had nothing to do with the product?
I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't know that they're related, are they?
I don't know. I can no longer.
But his name is Armand Hammer.
Yeah, I think it is from that. But either way, he comes from a lot of long, rich bloodline.
Yes.
Right. And this does feel a little like that kind of thing, that kind of weird rich guy stuff. Armand Hammer, not related to Armand. Yeah, Armand Hammer, but still comes from a bunch of money.
Robert Kraft, not related to Kraft cheese.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Bizarre.
Yeah, I think he's the Gillette guy, right? I mean, he's the razor guy? Or am I now
Kraft?
swimming in that?
We're getting out in the weeds.
Bob Kraft, yeah. Who the hell's who's the Gillette razor guy? It's Gillette Stadium.
It's Mr. Gillette.
Oh.
The guy bought the...
I don't know about that.
Who was the guy who bought the company? He used to do that commercial. I liked it so much I bought the company.
Oh, yeah.
He looked like Bob Kraft, but that guy's got to be too old by now. All right, we'll figure out, where did Bob Kraft make his bones? Max Pattis on a chase.
We just talked about this.
Yeah.
Manufacturing or something.
So you think that it's more likely, in theory, that he would be creepy because he's old money?
I am
There's something
saying...
like his pleasure centers have been so blown out, he has to go to smoking human ribs?
I am saying that, I've always told you the guys that are going out to the dominatrix and all that stuff, these are rich whitey. You know what I mean? The
right.
Regular folk, new money, they want to get laid. You know what I mean? Like they may be into a little...
old-fashioned.
They may be in a little, like, let me smell your feet. But by and large... This feels like a weird old thing to me. That's all.
Yeah.
Plus, in a world where we have baby back ribs, who wants human ribs?
I don't know. Also, sometimes guys have a rap that they think is funny, and they'll use it on every
Yes.
woman, and they should learn their lesson that it's not. But maybe this is part of this sort of weird rap. Where'd Bob Kraft make his bones, Maxipata?
It started off at a packaging company, and then traded, then in trading physical paper commodities.
Yeah. So nowhere exciting.
Yeah, it's not
nothing
exciting.
sexy.
Is he happy?
Paper commodities.
Is he rooting for Tom Brady?
I'll bet he is.
You think he wants him to win this Super Bowl?
Well, it's not against his team. Yeah, I bet he does.
I don't know. I feel like these guys, these captains of industry guys, are pretty competitive.
They hold a grudge.
Belichick's not rooting for a victory, is he?
I would say less likely.
And Bob Kraft, is he? It doesn't tarnish his legacy at the Patriots, but it doesn't help.
Were they close? Like, I thought Bob Kraft was like a father to me, like Tom Brady and him.
Yeah, there, but I feel like
go.
my dad hopes the worst happens to me, and we're father and son. It can exist.
Actual father and son.
Yes,
right.
it can exist. I don't know if you got Bob Kraft really drunk. I'll put this poll out there. You people can tweet me if we got Bob Kraft really fucking drunk and asked him if he'd like Brady to win the Super Bowl. Would he say, "I don't want to see him get hurt. I'd like them to have a good day, but I don't really want him to win"? Or would he just go, I hope he wins by 40 points? Do you think he'd have no feelings about it?
I think when he gets to be that rich, you don't care about, I don't know. I think you don't care about the minutia of who wins and loses a game you're not in. Like,
and you're that rich, what do you have but spite?
Well, he's definitely rooting. He's going to be rooting one way or the other. He's going to have a team that he wants to win. Does he want to see Brady win a Does he want him to win a Super Bowl outside of a Patriot uniform?
Is there a world where Brady winning makes Belichick look bad, but Kraft look better?
Well, kind of. But here's the thing: you have to picture this too. He wins. He's at his 10th Super Bowl, first time in 54 Super Bowls. They played one or 55, where they 54 or whatever. They played it, where the home team has been the home stadium, and maybe, just maybe, if he wins that Super Bowl, many of the pictures that are up in Canton are him in a Bucks uniform, like celebrating or whatever. Now,
that would be bold.
Robert's got to kind of contend with, do you want pictures of Brady in a Bucks uniform hoisting the Lombardi above his head with the ticker tape falling down? Like, I bet he doesn't want that image out there.
Right, because if it's Y.A. Tittle, you don't think of him in the Niners. Or, you know what I mean? Like, if it's Joe Namath, you don't think of him in the Rams uniform,
Right.
Because he's kind of ended with a whimper.
So far, every picture of Brady winning a Super Bowl is obviously in Kraft's uniform. All right, let's do Arm & Hammer served on the board.
Arm & Hammer would get asked so many times if he was related to Arm & Hammer, the baking soda, that he eventually just bought a bunch of shares and owned the company for the last few years because he was just got asked so many times.
As a joke, he bought a company.
Yes.
It's like Schitt's Creek. He bought a town because the name sounded funny.
All right, let's do one more, Gina Grass.
All right. Well, since we're talking about the Super Bowl, and I'm sure Christy will have more knowledge on this, Super Bowl viewers tuning in for the commercials won't be seeing the Clydesdales this year.
I heard about
Budweiser announced that it will not advertise because the game on February 7th, they're not Sorry. The beer brand will skip the game for the first time in 37 years, citing financial uncertainty due to the pandemic. Instead, the company plans to spend the money throughout the year on ad council campaigns to raise awareness about the COVID-19 vaccine. Bud Light, though, will run an ad during the game. Other unusual advertisers, Coke, Pepsi, Hyundai, also announced they will be taking the year off. Although Pepsi is sponsoring the Super Bowl halftime show, and CBS is charging $5.5 million for a 30-second spot, but they're without some of their big, heavy hitters.
All right, two things, Adam. So I'm going to jump in here. Number one, this is the year to get in on the Super Bowl, break the bank, because number one, I don't know how they estimate the audience because so many people at Super Bowl parties. Like, there must be an average of 18 people watching every television. You know what I mean? Like some average, they must figure out. This is the year people are going to be at home watching their own TVs. So the numbers may be up. Number two, people are going to be home, not at parties, paying attention to the commercials for the first, I imagine half the people just don't get the nuances of the commercial because they're talking and they're at a party and blah, blah, blah.
Get more chili dip.
This is the year you're watching the game. You're watching the commercials. Like, this is the year to go in.
Yeah, you can't even really hear the sound at a lot of Super Bowl parties of the commercials. And yes, there was no, recollection of these things. Yeah, it's always weird when some big company like Budweiser says, we're not going to do this. We feel like we'd rather focus on some civic help, to give more awareness. I'm always like, all right, what's going on?
Yeah, what really happened?
What's the real reason? What's the rub? You're Budweiser. You're not doing this because you're community oriented. There's something going on. I'm kind of with you in that, like, when you start seeing commercials at the Super Bowl for website builder apps and stuff like that, it feels very it's like, Brian will back me up, you want to see the Yankees play the Dodgers in the World Series, you don't want the Marlins playing the Toronto expansion team or something. It's a very kind of I want the old school Budweiser, the Coca-Cola, Ford, I like those, even when the Hyundais would come up, or like I said, the bizarre web browser thing that I didn't understand. It always felt weird to me. Like it felt like the game had passed me by.
And you can earn your way into that group. You know what I mean? Like, if you're Doritos, now we all look forward to the Doritos commercials. They're always interesting or fun or whatever. But the legacy brands are the ones that make it go.
Well, the good news is there will be more room for Puppy Monkey Baby, which I think was Mountain Dew, yes?
Yes.
I'm so glad that didn't become a thing.
Oh, my God. It was so weirdly, insanely off-putting. I still cannot wrap my mind around that. All right, let's bring it home at Gina Grad.
You got it. I'm Gina Grad, and that's the news.
Gina Grad.
That was the news with Gina Grad.
Last but not least, there is Geico. Want to save a bunch of dough? Well, how about you bundle with Geico? Take your homeowners or your renters insurance, you put it together with your automotive policy, you bundle and you save. Go to geico.com, get a quote, see just how much you could save and how easy it is to save when you go to geico.com. So Visit geico.com today and save a bunch of dough. Oklahoma City Bricktown Comedy Club, February 26th, 27th, would be doing live podcasts there and then stand-up there as well. And then Kansas City, Missouri, Arvest Bank Theater, March 25th, do straight stand-up there. And then Royal Oak, Michigan, Royal Oak Music Theater, that'll be March 26th. And go to adamcarolla.com for all the live shows. If you like, today's Paul Newman's birthday, Winning the Racing Life of Paul Newman. You can watch it for free on demand on Pluto TV.
And Adam,
as well, yes.
You need to be careful because it's going to be major Yenta Fest in Kansas City with all those women getting the vaccine.
Oh yeah.
Oh, boy.
That's right.
You're going to have a whole Jewish mother contingency.
Bring them on, I tell you. All right. I want to thank Bryan Fogel. The Dissident is, yes, the Dissident. Yeah, I'm up in my head. And Dave Dameshek, -3 as well. And until next time, it's Adam for Bryan and Gina and Bald and Dave saying mahalo.